The Outsiders Unit Assessment. This assessment will show what you know and what you have learned from the outsiders. Here are some tips to help you do your best. Be sure to read all the directions carefully. Read and annotate all provided text. Read each question carefully. Read all answers before you make your choice. Use the process of elimination. If you see a quotation or section of the text reference, go back and skim that part of the text before you choose your answer. Use your notes to help you. You can use a piece of scratch paper to eliminate your multiple choice questions and plan your open response. Good luck. Part 1, Core Knowledge of the Novel. Directions. Choose one answer, unless specified in the question, for each of the following questions. Number 1, who is the narrator of The Outsiders? Cherry, Ponyboy, Dally, or Johnny? Number 2, where did Ponyboy and Johnny run away after Johnny killed Bob in chapter 4? Where did Ponyboy and Johnny run away to after Johnny killed Bob in chapter 4? A, the lot down the street. B, Ponyboy's house. C, the police station. D, an abandoned church. Number 3, in what setting does the majority of The Outsiders take place? A rural town. B, a busy city. C, the South. D, the country. Number 4, who is Randy? A, one of Derry's high school classmates. B, a soak who refuses to fight in the rumble. C, a greaser from an enemy gang. D, one of Ponyboy's high school teachers. Part 2, disciplinary knowledge. Number 5, how does the setting impact a story? A, the setting is the location of a story and identifies where events take place. B, the setting can change throughout the story and be multiple different places. C, the setting outlines the next event to take place in the story. D, the setting affects the character's actions and way of living. Part 3, analysis of The Outsiders. Number 6, in chapter 2, Ponyboy describes in a flashback the moment when Johnny was badly beaten by the Soaks. Dally was there too, swearing under his breath and turning away with a sick expression on his face. I wondered about it vaguely. Dally had seen people killed on the streets of New York's West Side. Why did he look sick now? What does this section of the text best reveal about Dally? A, this part of the text reveals that Dally is sensitive to violence. B, this part of the text reveals that Dally cares deeply for Johnny. C, this part of the text reveals that Dally is new in town. D, this part of the text reveals that Dally is wondering what was happening to Johnny. Number 7, in chapter 3, Ponyboy and Cherry are talking to one another about the greasers and the Soaks. It seems funny to me that the sunset that we saw from her patio and the one I saw from the back steps was the same one. We saw the same sunset. What idea is best revealed in these lines? A, sunsets are the same across the country. B, Cherry and Ponyboy live in the same place. C, The greasers and the soaks are the same underneath it all. D. Every day provides a new starting point. Number 8. What does Johnny's decision to turn himself into the police in Chapter 6 most reveal about his character? A. He values the lives of his fellow greasers over his own life. B. He is fearful of the police. C. He is fearful of consequences. D. He wants to please his parents by doing the right thing. Number 9. How does the setting at the church impact the story? A. The church setting is described in the novel's exposition. B. The church setting is near Ponyboy's house. C. The church setting is where the climax of the story takes place. D. The church setting is where the resolution of the story takes place. Number 10. Which statement below best describes Ponyboy's change over the course of the novel? A. Ponyboy changes from being a boy fascinated by movies and books to becoming a cold and bitter person who lacks hope. B. Ponyboy changes from relying exclusively on the greasers to being more independent and only relying on himself. C. Ponyboy changes from having very set ideas about people to being less judgmental about others and more willing to talk with different people. D. Ponyboy changes from being someone who likes to read to being someone who wants to write. Part 4. Application in a new text. An excerpt from The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. This excerpt comes from a novel titled The Perks of Being a Wallflower. In this thought-provoking book, the main character and narrator is Charlie, a freshman in high school. During the book, Charlie is growing up and learning to navigate the complex world of high school and is experiencing new things, including making new friends, going to parties, and experiencing the death of loved ones. There is a feeling that I had Friday night after the homecoming game that I don't know if I will ever be able to describe, except to say that it is warm. Sam and Patrick drove me to the party that night, and I sat in the middle of Sam's pickup truck. Sam loves her pickup truck because I think it reminds her of her dad. The feeling I had happened when Sam told Patrick to find a station on the radio. And he kept getting commercials and commercials and a really bad song about love that had the word baby in it. And then more commercials. And finally, he found this really amazing song about this boy, and we all got quiet. Sam tapped her hand on the steering wheel. Patrick held his hand outside the car and made airwaves, and I just sat between them. After the song finished, I said something. I feel infinite. And Sam and Patrick looked at me like I had said the greatest thing they had ever heard. Because the song was that great, and because we all really paid attention to it. 5 minutes of a lifetime were truly spent, and we felt young in a good way. I have since bought the record, and I would tell you what it was, but truthfully, it's not the same unless you're driving to your first real party and you're sitting in the middle seat of a pickup with two nice people when it starts to rain. We got to the house where the party was, and Patrick did this secret knock. It would be hard to describe to you this knock without sound. The door opened a crack, and this guy with frizzy hair looked out at us. Patrick, known as Patty, known as nothing, Bob. The door opened, and his old friends hugged each other. Then Sam and Bob hugged each other. Then Sam spoke. This is our friend Charlie. And you won't believe it, Bob hugged me. The party was in the basement of his house. There was a lot of kids in there, older kids, seniors, I think. There was Maggie, who needed to use the bathroom, and there was Brad, the quarterback of the high school football team. No kidding. I do not know why this excited me, but I guess when you see somebody in the hallway or in the field or something, it's nice to know that they are a real person. Everyone was very friendly to me and asked me a lot of questions about myself. I guess because I was the youngest and they didn't want me to feel out of place. Some of the questions I was asked was what grade I was in and what did I want to be when I grow up. I'm a freshman and I don't know just yet. Before we left the party, Sam played a few of her favorite songs. One was called Blackbird. The other was called MLK. They were both very beautiful. Another interesting thing that happened at the party before we left. Patrick came downstairs. I guess Brad had left, and Patrick smiled, and Bob started to make fun of him having a crush on the quarterback, and Patrick smiled more. I don't think I ever saw Patrick smile so much. Then Patrick pointed at me and said something to Bob. He's something, isn't he? Bob nodded his head. Patrick then said something I don't think I'll ever forget. He's a wallflower. And Bob really nodded his head, and the whole room nodded their head. And I started to feel nervous, but Patrick didn't let me get too nervous. He sat down next to me. You see things, you keep quiet about them, and you understand. I didn't know that other people thought things about me. I didn't know that they looked. I was sitting on the floor of a basement of my first real party between Sam and Patrick, and I remember that Sam introduced me as her friend to Bob, and I remember that Patrick had done the same thing for Brad, and I started to cry. And nobody in that room looked at me weird for doing it. And then I really started to cry. Bob raised his drink and asked everyone to do the same. To Charlie. And the whole group said, to Charlie. I didn't know why they did that, but it was very special to me that they did. Number 11. Reread paragraph 6. We got to the house where the party was, and Patrick did this secret knock. It would be hard to describe to you this knock without sound. The door opened a crack, and this guy with frizzy hair looked at us. What does the knock best represent? A. The knock represents nothing. It has no special meaning. B. The knock represents the way to distinguish if someone is in the group. C. The knock represents the invitation to a group's party. D. The knock represents the number of people at the door. Number 12. How is Charlie impacted by the setting of the story? A. Charlie feels uncomfortable around so many new people at the party. B. Charlie meets new people and begins to change at the party. C. Charlie is celebrated as a new member of the group. D. Charlie is overwhelmed and nervous in the new setting. Number 13. What is the relationship between paragraphs 18 through 21 and paragraphs 22 through 27? A. Paragraphs 18 through 21 introduce a conflict that is resolved in paragraphs 22 through 27. B. Paragraphs 18 through 21 introduce new characters that are developed in paragraphs 22 through 27. C. Paragraphs 22 through 27 are a part of the story's resolution, while paragraphs 18 through 21 are a part of the story's exposition. D. And paragraphs 22 through 27 develop a conflict that takes place in paragraphs 18 through 21. Number 14. Which quote below best develops a theme in the story? A. The door opened and the old friends hugged each other. Then Sam and Bob hugged each other, from paragraph 9. B. Everyone was very friendly to me and asked me a lot of questions about myself, from paragraph 14. C. Before we left the party, Sam played me a few of her favorite songs. One was called Blackbird. The other was called MLK. They were both very beautiful, from paragraph 16. D. I don't know why they did that, but it was very special to me that they did, from paragraph 27. Number 15. In what ways are Charlie, the narrator of The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and Ponyboy similar? In your answer, be sure to 1. Name a shared trait, and 2. Support with details from both texts.